You are entering the Flip2Freedom video experience.
Have I got your attention now?
You show me a pay stub for $72,000 on it, I quit my job right now.
Do you care to know why I earn the big bucks? But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
Now, your host, Sean Terry.
Hello again, Sean Terry, and we are back with episode number 146 of the Flip2Freedom Podcast. And in this episode, it's part 2 of the Brett Buras interview. Now, we've got tons of response, tons of people downloading, people going, holy cow, what an amazing interview. And they have been waiting for part 2, and part 2 will not disappoint. Great stuff. Brett talks about how to scale from basically getting his first deal of $10,000 to $300,000 in about 90 days. Huge amount of success, right? And what he's doing for mailing. And he's all doing this as a one-man show. He talks about qualifying the seller. And really, he doesn't really talk about qualifying, but asking essentially negative questions, right? And trying to weed out, all the, the tire kickers and really getting down to the people that want to sell so he can be more efficient in his time as a one-man show. He talks about his gestation of the business of gestation, essentially, where you invest in your business. You might not see results immediately, but then they will. They're not guaranteed, but they will come. And he puts it almost guaranteed, but referring to Think and Grow Rich, but understanding the process of investing in your business for the return. Talks about consistency, gives some great advice. And I know you guys are ready for me to shut up right now so you can listen to part 2 of the Brett Buras interview. So let's get into that right now. I always tell you, when a motivated seller calls you, you will know it, right? And when you're talking to this guy, there was not a shadow of a doubt in your mind that this was your first deal.
That's right. And here's the thing. It wasn't really about the money. And as you guys teach, if it's about getting the highest price, then I'm not going to be the best option anyway.
Right.
It was just about, he didn't want to have the grass cut anymore. He didn't want to have to think about this house. This guy was getting up in age, and he just wanted to simplify things. And so we talked, and we got to a place, and we landed on this $15,000 number. And I emailed him an agreement, and he signed it. I signed it, and we were good. And then I panicked because I had been working on building my buyer database, but not for very long, and I didn't have any buyers. And so I panicked a little bit, like, oh, what am I going to do? And ironically enough, my daughter's softball coach is a handyman, and he doesn't have a ton of money, but I knew he could do a $25,000 kind of deal or whatever. And so I sold it to my daughter's softball coach,
right?
For $25,000. I made $10,000.
You made $10,000 on your first deal.
Yeah, I was jacked.
You're jacked. So now all the belief, the money you put in, now it comes into realization with an actual check. So you are now pumped on that first deal. So what did that do for you and your wife? I mean, did that, did for her, it just must have been, okay, this works.
Yeah. So she came to the closing with me because when she set up the LLC, she flip-flopped our names and made herself the manager instead of this, or something caused her to have to be at the closing. And so we went to the closing and closed on it. And then they wired us the money. And we just looked at each other like, all right, this is exactly the way these guys said it would work. So let's go do another. And let's go do another.
Perfect.
And so
now that was February of 2017. You get your first check of $10,000. Now, what's current revenue up till today?
300,000.
$300,000. So you guys listening right now, $300,000. He got his first check in February. He didn't get anything in December and January, and now we're in June. How many months is that? That's
First 2 quarters of the year, 300.
Amazing. Okay, so tell us how. And you don't have any employees. It's just you and your wife.
Right.
So how were you able to scale it to that level?
So, one of the things is losing a job is one thing, but having moved to a new place. So we had only lived when all this happened, we had only been in Florida for about 18 months. Mm-hmm. Put our kids in private school. We had made some long-term commitments, and then that happens to me at our job. So man, we just had to hustle. But here's another thing that's interesting, man. And I just believe that people that have ears to hear what I'm getting ready to say are just going to hear it, and some won't, but I don't know any other way to do it. Sean, I'm going to tell you, I haven't worked hard in this business. Like, I work it every day, and I'm very serious about it, and I'm a professional about it, mm-hmm. but I'm not killing myself. And so I really believe that it's the intention that we set and the belief that we started with mm-hmm. that created that momentum for us to have a great business with great income that we work at very diligently, but we don't kill ourselves. And so I'll tell you this, I believe this business, there's a direct correlation between the amount of marketing you do, whether that's spending money or you're just out there in social media or networking or anything else. There's a direct correlation with the amount of effort you put into marketing and your revenue. And some people say, well, duh, but that's not the case in every single business. Every business doesn't have a direct correlation between marketing and revenue.
Right.
This one does. And it's exciting to know that, because that's a formula. As Jim Rohn would say, a ratio appears. And when that ratio appears, you can crank on that thing. And so we've basically done 3 to 4 to 5 deals a month since February. Uh-huh. And we've assigned those contracts to some of the same buyers. So I've had buyers buy 3, 4, 5 houses from me.
Right.
Through this process, because we are finding smoking hot deals. And we're not putting garbage back out where, there's no margin for the next guy and that sort of thing. And so, man, just been diligent with the critical few things that make a business like this work.
Okay, so for someone listening and they've done a deal or 2 deals and stuff, do you take a percentage of revenue and put it back into marketing on a monthly or weekly basis? And if you do, what is that number?
So I haven't done that because I think that's a challenging thing to do right from the start, because you may not have enough revenue. If you just work off that percentage, you may not be investing enough in marketing. And so we're in a place right now where we really want to grow the business to next phase is more like 10, 15 deals a month.
Right.
And so I'm making investments in marketing. So we're investing about 12 to 13,000 a month in marketing, which really consists almost the vast majority of that is mail, direct mail, and some online marketing.
Cool. So direct mail and online marketing. So you're dropping probably 40, 50,000, 30, 40,000 a month in mail, roughly?
Well, we're doing about, not quite that much. In mail, we're doing about 22,000 pieces, and then the rest of that is spent on Google paid search.
And you can answer, you're capable of, well, obviously that's broken out over a month, so you're capable of answering the phone, scheduling appointments, going on the appointments. How does your flow look like?
Yeah. So, people say, like, can you handle it? I'm like, well, I can handle it better than going to some office and having another grown man tell me what to do all day long. So yeah, I'm going to answer the phone. It's not that big of a deal. So anyway, so the rhythm of our business is with our weekly mail drops, our phone rings pretty hot and heavy Monday, Tuesday, and then trails off on Wednesday in general, because mail is dropping. I like it that way. And so we coordinated it that way with the mail house. Sometimes the phone, I'm missing calls because I'm on with somebody else, but we're using CallRail. And so I can always call them back, or they're leaving a message, but we try to live answer. I'm training a leads agent right now, former customer service person in corporate America, former real estate agent, but I'm very diligently, slowly training her because I want this to work really well. But right now it's all me. I take all the calls. I probably do more. I won't say that I'm taking them. Those calls for me, I want to make sure that it's worth going on that appointment. And so I don't like the word qualifying. I'm digging for evidence and impact. I'm digging for why I'm a good option for them to contract with me on their house.
Right.
I'm asking a lot of negative option questions to understand, why aren't you going with the realtor? Why aren't you fixing it? So why they are convincing me that I should come meet them and look at their house.
I like that.
So I don't go on tons and tons and tons of appointments. For me right now, this is an interesting stat that I think you'll appreciate. So in my offline marketing, I'm at 19
leads
per contract.
Right.
My online marketing, 2.5 leads per contract. Really interesting.
Wow.
Deal size is the same. Some of those other KPIs are the same, but so I'm doing a fair amount of, do you really think, are you ready? Is there anything that would stop you from wanting to do this? All those sorts of things. But the truth is, I could really manage the business. Now, I'm a little bit of a one-arm paper thrower. And it is a lot when you're trying to accomplish the sort of revenue goals that I have to do by yourself. So I'm slowly bringing on, I brought on a VA that helps with a few things. I'm training a leads agent. I'm training a dispositions agent. And so I'm slowly moving into pushing some of that stuff away from me so that I can focus on my highest value work.
Right. I love that. Yeah, for time efficiency, doing deals yourself. When I was a one-man show, I really qualified. I don't like the word qualified. Really try to qualify that lead to make sure they wanted to sell. And anybody that I didn't go on an appointment, they got some sort of written offer in their email box or even via physical mail. Though it'd be those 1 out of 20, we'd probably get one of those, but it'd still be a contract that was significant that come in, or it opened up for negotiation. But literally the closing ratio was about 80%, because if you ask all those questions, you build a level of rapport on the phone, and you can drive down to the real meaning of what they want to sell, then literally you're just meeting them to look at the house, and agree on a number and get the contract signed.
That's right. Here's how I look at that. Something would have to dramatically change from the time I got off the phone with you to the time I came to your house for you to say no.
Right.
Because I've basically gotten you to yes on the phone. You don't have email, or you really feel like I need to come look at that. There's something that's caused me to go out there, but we're basically going to do the deal. And again, unless something dramatically changed, or you just weren't being honest through the conversation. And that happens sometimes. People are in distress, and distress causes people to act abnormal. And I think that took me a little while to get used to. I would get aggravated with people. And then I realized, well, man, they're in a bad situation. You have to just have some empathy for them.
Right. All right. So I want to ask your advice for 3 different people that could be listening. So you got the person right now that essentially hasn't started. So they're in their dabble stage and they're listening to podcasts and maybe saw a couple webinars, watched some videos online and stuff like that. They really love the concept. They don't really have the belief factor yet, but they want to do it, but they got time constraints of their job. Maybe they haven't got laid off yet. What would be the best advice you could give that person because they hear you and they go, well, listen, now you work for yourself. You get to come and go as you please. You get the free, you do whatever you want to do, right? And you're crushing it income-wise. So they're going, I want to be like you, but they're stuck in that point to where they haven't made those first steps yet. What best advice would you tell that one person?
Yeah, so I think what someone has to do is really two things come to mind. One is they have to really think about what is it they would want from a business like this, and they have to back their way into what it would take. And so if they want to close a deal a quarter, well, then just work backwards into, well, how many appointments, how many contracts, how many appointments, how many phone calls, how many mailers, and look at that. And as you're looking at it, get emotionally involved in that formula. Just emotionally get attached to what it would mean for that to happen. If you can't get emotionally attached to that, and if you look at that and say, where am I going to find the time and how am I, it might not be your time. But begin with the end in mind, work your way backwards into the work that it would take, get emotionally attached to it. And if you can get excited about it and have a belief about it, go execute it. Because if it works for one, it'll work for somebody else.
Right. So just for a generality, what's your average deal size?
Offline, it's 16,500. Online, it's 13,000.
Okay, so let's call it 16,000. So 16,000. So to take your advice and put it into an example, if someone wants to reverse engineer, if you wanted to do 1 deal a quarter, right, and you were going to direct mail, that would be 19 leads to contract. So in a quarter, you'd have to get 19 leads, and to generate what's your response rate on your mail? Would you say?
A little bit under 1%, so like 0.75%.
So 0.75%. So, if you send, 1,000 mailers times 0.5%. So they get they have to send probably 2,500 mailers in a quarter times 0.75% would be, they get roughly 19 leads, right? I would say a good number would probably be, 4,000 in a quarter, so 1,000 a month times 0.75% will get you 30 calls coming in, which will equate into essentially 19 to 20 leads coming in over a quarter. And based upon your numbers, $16,000 with a conversion of 1 in 19. So reverse engineering it, basically send 1,000 postcards or send 250 postcards a week, right, for a month, and actually for a quarter, and you basically get you back into the numbers where you have leads coming in, calls coming in, appointments, and you're going to appointments, and you should, based upon the numbers, convert. And based upon our numbers as well, you would convert a contract. And now the thing is, now you're talking to sellers. Now you're understanding the business and you're making offers, and you will run into that seller that lives that estate, that has a house they haven't lived in for 10 years, is something they inherited, they believe it's a tear down, and you'll get it for a cheap price so that you can turn around and flip and make your first check on. So I think that's great advice. So now the second person we're going to talk to for advice for that person. So they have been mailing, and they're basically 45 to 50 days into mailing, and they haven't got that call yet. They've been consistently mailing, and it might be 45. They might be 3 months into it, 4 months into it, and they've been consistently sending mail, but they haven't got that call yet. What would you tell that person?
So if that person's frustrated, they're the ones that, they're screaming at the ground because the acorn hadn't produced the oak tree yet.
Right.
And so I think what has to happen there is you have to understand that there's a gestation period for everything. And when a human gets pregnant, we know it's about 9 months. When an elephant gets pregnant, it's however long. When an ant gets pregnant, it's however long, whatever. And so when it comes to our goals and our objectives and the things that we're looking to accomplish in life and in business, that period of time is not as clearly and scientifically defined. And so you have to give it some time. And in the grand scheme of things, 40 days, 50 days, 90 days is not a lot of time. Sean, I know you know a lot of business owners, traditional business owners.
Right.
Man, they'll go a long time in the beginning without paying themselves, without making money, all for the hope that it's coming.
Right.
And so what I would say to those people is this: don't take your foot off the gas. Just keep it where it is. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep answering the phone. Keep doing it, because it is coming. It comes for everyone, right? Napoleon Hill says, when it comes, it's going to come so big and so just gigantic that you're not even going to believe that it's happening. And that's exactly what happened to us in this business. And I believe that'll happen for anyone who keeps the faith and continues to take those actions required to make success. So I just think you got to keep your foot on the gas.
So keep your foot on the gas and eventually know that it's inevitable that the floodgates will open. All right, advice for the third person, then we'll wrap this up because I know you're busy. The third person is they're doing 1 to 2 deals a month, right? They haven't broke through. They get a deal, and then the next month they get no deal, and the next month they get a deal, and the next month they get 2 deals, and the next month then they go 2 months with no deals. Their inconsistency, their business is a roller coaster. It's up and down. What would you tell that person it's struggling that way?
I think those types of results, those are roller coaster outcomes, typically come from roller coaster inputs. And so I think what a lot of people do is they've got their hand on the throttle and they're smashing it down and pulling it back over and over again based on the result of the day or the result of the week. And so a natural byproduct of on and off the gas is the roller coaster. Right. And the lumpy revenue and those things. And so again, I think you have to decide that this is what I do. I am going to be successful at this. I am going to remain consistent in the inputs so that I can remain consistent in the outputs. And the outputs in this business is deals and revenue.
Right.
And so, I can tell you, last month, we only did 2 deals. Mm-hmm. But you can look at every other variable in my business and it was basically the same. I didn't reduce mailing. I didn't doubt. I didn't not take nothing changed. It's just a little season, that little season. And then this month, boom, we're nailing it again. And next month's going to be great. Yep. And so I think consistency is rewarded, whether it's in business or we're going to go train for a triathlon or we're going to be in consistency with our children and discipline or guidance. Mm-hmm. It's the key. And I think as humans, we all struggle with it because our eyes deceive us and our ears deceive us. And those are the only 2 inputs. We don't use our really powerful faculties like intuition. And we don't focus and we just let the exterior world that comes into our eyes and our ears tell us and dictate. You got to stop doing that stuff and stay very, very consistent.
Love that. Great advice. Awesome. Now, a couple cool things. So you're 42. You've got 3 beautiful kids, beautiful wife. How long have you been married?
19 years. This November will be 19 years. And just for the record, since this is going to go global, I'm 43 now.
Oh, you're 43. Okay. It's still way younger than me. And what's your secret to your marriage?
Oh, boy. That got me to cry. You know,
I've been married 21 years, so I know. So I just want to know yours because I gather secrets.
I think it's give and take. You know, I married someone who's the polar opposite of me. You know, I'm a big believer in behavioral analysis tools and stuff. And my wife, Marcy, is the mirror reflection of my own personality.
Okay.
And I think it's considering her point of view and her considering mine and just, you know, working it out, figuring things out.
That's awesome. Okay, and
it's really hot, so it makes it easier.
So she's really hot. That makes it easier. That makes it easier. That does. It makes that easier. Because we are male pigs right now.
That's right.
Okay. So what would be the best book that you would recommend to people, other than the Holy Bible?
Yes. So I believe that people should spend a lifetime not reading, but studying. And I believe the best place you can study, the best book you can study is Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, great
There
book.
are 13 principles in that book. And I'll tell you, I get on the phone twice a week. We cover one chapter a month in a read-along. And we each read a page, me and 3 other guys.
Right.
And we do it every Monday and every Wednesday, a chapter a month. It takes 13 months. And we discuss it and we talk about it. One of the most powerful commitments I've ever made was to do that. But all the secrets are in that book. Don't read it, study it.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, that's how you've, over the years, developed that mental, you know, maybe not mental toughness, but that mental positivity that has allowed you now to come in this business with, you know, if you have no idea about self-development or self-growth or personal growth or how your thoughts affect your life and actions and stuff like that, and then you come into the business, not only do you have to learn personal development, but you also have to learn the business as well. But if you come into the business with a lot of personal development and you worked on yourself, you know, and what your thoughts are, and you recognize that, and you understand the mastermind, you understand visualization, you understand, you know, those principles in that book, but then you apply that to the real estate business, you have, you know, massive amount of success. So, which I think is what you've done. So for people listening, I think, you know, Think and Grow Rich is a phenomenal book to as a starting point to really, that book gave me my first aha moment on who I am, what I am, and what I am, you know, I mean, it was an amazing book. So it's awesome. All right, so if people listening want to get a hold of you, maybe they're in Tampa, they're just getting started, and they want to do the business, and they've got a deal, and they want to partner with you on a deal. They're in Tampa, or they got or in Florida or something like that. You know, what would be the best way they could get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I think 2 ways. One is just Facebook. Brett, B-R-E-T-T, Buras, B-U-R-A-S, and that's simple. And then my email is Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at superiorrealestatesolutions.com. And if somebody's got something they want to do over here or have a question or anything else, I'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Well, sir, your story is definitely absolutely inspiring. I remember meeting you at the first boardroom when you were just getting, I think was it January or February? You were just priming that pump, if I remember.
Yeah, that was January.
That was
January.
January.
We had a deal set to close, but I hadn't even closed the deal.
Yeah, you haven't closed the deal. You were priming that pump. You're a little wide-eyed there, you know, but you left there on a vengeance, and you've crushed it ever since. So. Thank you for definitely attending that. That was awesome. Now you're part of Boardroom Elite because you've moved up so significantly in your income. So congratulations on that. And the next is Billionaire Boardroom, and that's literally right around the corner. So Congratulations.
Sean, listen, I don't want to end this without saying this. I appreciate you very much, and I appreciate your authenticity in the fact that you give back the way that you do, not just in real estate, but I know you give back in a lot of ways. And so being authentic, it's one of the things that's so important to me. And I feel like I have a meter in my life where I can kind of tell who's authentic and who's not. And I felt that very early on with you. And so I just want to thank you very much for being authentic. I'm very, very grateful for having met you and having a friend in you and someone I can go to and a system that I can count on to go earn a great, great life for me and my family.
That's awesome. Well, I greatly appreciate it, and thank you for sharing your story with everybody. I know it's inspiring people and giving them great words of advice that they can take back in their life and their business and transform them. And maybe they listen to this and it gives them the inspiration where 4, 5, 6 months from now, they're in a similar position, and now they're in a position to give back like you've done. So I appreciate your time. Great interview. Go give your lovely wife a kiss and your 3 kids hugs. And thank you for your time again. I appreciate it, Brett.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, phenomenal interview, Brett. You did an absolutely amazing job. I greatly appreciate it. You are a true inspiration. So, guys, if you're sitting on the fence right now and you're going, I don't know, maybe it doesn't work, and I don't know, I had some friends who tried this and it doesn't work, get over it. Get started. Get involved. Take the steps of what it's going to take to get started. And get your direct mail campaigns up. Start talking to sellers. Reverse engineer. If you want to do your first deal in the first quarter and make $16,000 like he did, we'll turn around and reverse engineer it. We did that for you. And if you don't know how to reverse engineer it, go to flip2freedom.com. And actually, if you go to the website, flip2freedom.com, and you go in the gift up there, we actually give you a calculator, right? And it's a killer little calculator. It's called the First Check Matrix Calculator. You can download that for free, and it will show you specifically the numbers of what you have to do to go out and get your first check. We do it for you. So, Brett, phenomenal job, an amazing job, and we greatly appreciate you spending your time with us and doing these interviews. You did a phenomenal job. So, make sure you go to flip2freedom.com, and we will see you on episode 147 coming up next week. Take care and God bless.